Hey, welcome to the Star Wars Unlearned podcast. My name is Josiah Shuett, and I'm joined by Nathan Hawley. What we're doing is we're looking at Star Wars from the perspective of its creator. So we're turning off our fan brains and really just trying to uncover the story that Lucas is trying to tell. We're in the middle of our series on the Phantom Menace, where we explore the filmmaking, the history, the mythology, and everything else that Lucas and his team used to bring this first chapter of the Star Wars saga to life. So join us as we dive in and unlearn what we have learned about the Star Wars story.
Back to the throne room. Panaka blast the window, which is really cool. Very creative.
Yeah.
And, I always this is just a me thing, but I've always really appreciated how one of the guards there, who's by the window, just kind of like takes shelter as the window's exploding.
Oh, really? Yeah, I never noticed that.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's kind of neat to see Panaka taking a center stage for a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doing his duty, taking care of the queen, being smart, being the military man he kind of is.
Yeah, it's funny because as a kid in my head, he was a much bigger player in all this. Like he had a much bigger role. Like he was more important. But I think it might just be because of this scene. Might be because of this scene. And just it's funny how big an effect a small scene can have on a movie or your perspective of a movie as a kid. Even now, as an adult, just in general, the audience can have a completely different opinion of a character or an idea or just a whole movie just based on one tiny little scene, one line of dialogue, one action can change your view on things. And so I think maybe because of this cool scene, Panaka became a much bigger figure in my head than he actually was. Like he doesn't get a lot of screen time. He's there, but doesn't get a ton of dialogue. And he's not the most interesting character in the movie, but I've always liked him. I always thought he was cool.
Yeah, I did too. I was sad to see him go in episode 2.
Yeah, it was a shame. I think the actor wanted more money, I guess, or too much money, and they didn't want to pay him, so they got somebody else. But
yeah,
at least that's what I've heard. But the one thing about this scene I know, in terms of like the guards and like a tiny little trivia thing is Ray Park is in this scene. Did you know
that? No,
he plays one of the guards. So I think it's in this right as they cross to when Panaka says like go, and they cross to go through the window. Ray Park he's one of the guards that kind of takes a knee and starts like shooting at the droids. I can't remember exactly what shot it is, but if you like freeze frame it, you can totally see him. That's him.
That's cool. And Ray Park is Darth Maul, for those of you who don't know.
Yes.
Same. Yep. Yeah. That's cool. No, I didn't know that. So next time you're playing Star Wars trivia, you'll be ready.
Exactly. Like, what 2 characters does Ray Park play in Star Wars Episode 9? What?
Yeah. Nice. So speaking of Ray Park, we get back to the lightsaber fight here. Yes, huge pan up the massive room, the little tiny lightsaber fight going way off in the distance. Just a neat transition, I think. But
absolutely.
Showing the depths, like you said. That's cool.
Yes, it's a bottomless pit, right? Yeah, again, that location is such a huge part of this fight. And I think it's cool that you can see that plasma energy from inside the planet that we talked about. It kind of jets up from the core. That's being collected here, and that's what these are. It's basically like a mine or like a well or something, but for energy instead of water. So yeah, they're fighting in this big power plant, and so there's so much. We're in this very, very dark room now. It's almost like pitch. It's almost like they're almost like fighting in space, like black with little bits of like white here and there, almost like stars, and they got these huge bits of like purple blue energy. It's a very, very strange looking spot. It's very reminiscent of the Gungan introduction to the Gungan city too. It's like kind of dream like world. Like this isn't really tied to anything we've seen. We're not in a forest. We're not in a city. We are in a city technically, but we're in this room that just doesn't look like anything we've seen in our world. And I remember this whole room I was fascinated by this location as a kid.
Yeah.
Said, what is this place? It's so massive and so cool. And there's something, for lack of a better term, spiritual, or there's an energy to it, literally in this case, but there's something, it has a larger feel to it, not just physically, but metaphorically, there's something, it has a feel to it that's unlike any other place that we've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, boy, I mean, just the scale of it. It's just so big. It's just this massive, I don't know, it just seems to carry the weight of what's actually happening, like this Duel of the Fates, right? I mean, I just feel like what a grand place to show to display to show what a grand event is taking place here, I guess is what you could say. Like this is literally Anakin's future determined right here. And you just feel that. You feel the impact of that. Yeah. Just the scale of this. I mean, I don't feel like we've seen this yet, obviously in this movie, but also in the old trilogy. Nothing to this scale, nothing this massive,
Yeah.
nothing with that kind of music just flaring behind it, that huge choral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a big cathedral almost of like good versus evil. Yeah. You really feel
like
it.
that. It is a kind of cathedral, like, yeah.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah. Which is what, John Williams kind of mentions. He wanted that real religious kind of experience feel here. Yeah. The reverent, huge masses.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because you don't need a huge space for a sword fight, right? We have dueling and fencing in our world, and they're always very, very small, spaces. So it could have the effect of making these characters feel it seems like it could have the effect of diminishing what's happening. They could appear small and insignificant in this huge space, but it actually somehow it heightens it.
Yeah, it really does.
It's a very small, very like close quarters, intimate thing that's happening here, intimate way of fighting. They're face to face. They're not shooting from great distances like Padme and the droids or Anakin and the ships. They're face to face and they're right there, but it's happening in this enormous space. It's completely unnecessary, like practically, but it's all atmosphere, right? It's all building towards a feeling that it's all symbolic. And even the weapons, this one thing I'm going to talk about here, even the weapons are symbolic here, right? Because the Jedi, if you think about the story, what's happening here between the Jedi and the Sith, just as entities, the Jedi have never fought anyone with a lightsaber, outside of training in like 1,000 years, right? So the last, technically it was Qui-Gon and Maul in the desert was the first time when we talked about that, but it's like kind of the first. It's kind of shown for all its glory or all its horror right here. This first big fight for the Jedi and Sith in 1,000 years. And so, for that, in that period of time, the saber was more like a symbolic ceremonial thing. It was a sign of a Jedi, right? But it wasn't like a very, very practical or often used tool. Like it's kind of like the sabers that soldiers use today, right? Like soldiers in their ceremonial dress will still have a sword a lot of the time. But it's not, they're not going out and having lightsaber duel, or no one's going out and having duels in the streets, mostly guns now, and yes, they block blaster bolts with it, but they didn't use it in a duel. So this is like it's a legitimate sword fight happening, or it's like a legitimate sword fight happening in our world today. It'd be very odd for that to just randomly break out. So this is a very unique thing that's happening. And it's actually, it's sort of like this kind of ancient ritual is kind of unintentionally taking place, which kind of leads into that sort of that symbolic nature of what's happening here. Like, this is a big deal for these two forces in the galaxy, the Jedi and the Sith, just historically speaking. And so, there's a sword duel happening for the first time, like a legitimate one happening for the first time in 1,000 years. And guns and tanks and spaceships are all happening around it. But in the center of this battle is just this very ancient, very, very simple fight that hasn't happened for a millennium. So I just like that the historical nature within the Star Wars universe, that history of that is probably not lost on the two parties fighting. That they're probably feeling that as this is happening, that it's analogous to our world today. It'd be just as weird for that to happen today, because we think of lightsabers. If you look at Star Wars, it's easy to look at lightsabers and blasters and think they're contemporaries of each other. They belong in the same world at the same time, because they're both made of energy. Like the blade is energy and the blaster shoots energy. But if you think of our world, the sword and the gun are not the same. They represent vastly different eras of warfare. So yes, the blade is metal and the gun shoots metal. But one is ancient and one is very modern. So it's the same thing happening.
Yeah, and you get a glimpse of that in Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan takes Grievous's blaster. So uncivilized. There is that sense of like, well, different eras. I mean, these are the Jedi Knights, right? I think that's probably intentional on George's part, I would think. That they're not just bounty hunters. They're not just kind of the Han Solo gunslinging Western, sheriffs or whatever. They're knights. They're knights of the Round Table. They're noble, honorable, ancient.
And that's why the ancient music is appropriate here. Again, it's another example. It's an old battle. Like, this is such an old tradition of it's such weird to call it tradition because they're fighting for their lives, but
Right.
it's almost a ritual. It's almost a tradition. What's happening here, a very like kind of like a spiritual nature. There's a lot of weight. Yes, it has a lot of portent is the word for the future of the galaxy, but also there's a lot of history behind it as well. They look at it, it's like the swords. The swords are ancient, and even though they're really cool and kind of futuristic looking to us, the laser sword, in the context of Star Wars, it's an ancient thing. So so that's another reason why that setting the heightened reality, what's happening, the ritualistic, spiritual, religious kind of music is very, very appropriate, and that it all kind of adds up to this like, whoa, something huge is happening here.
Yeah, and I really like that too, and just the way it's choreographed. Like, you just think this is very intentional, and it's a neat. I don't know what you want to say. It's just really neat that this is supposed to be a dance, kind of. It's a really choreographed, ancient, flowing with the Force. We're fighting. I mean, even on Darth Maul's side, because you think back, like, I think about Luke in Return of the Jedi, where he just gives into his full hatred there when Vader says, "I'm going to go after your sister," and he just starts swinging it like a bat, and he's just hitting the walls and going crazy. You just don't see that here. It's just so artful and graceful, even on Darth Maul's part, and I think that's really intentional. Just who these people are. This isn't just Han Solo's. Yeah. They're just blasting away or whatever. It's a cool distinction of who these people are, including the Sith, just Force users, these ancient ways of living.
Yeah, there is this dance happening where there's clearly a form. This is like they're both practitioners of the same martial arts, right? Or they're all of them. They're all kind of there's a, like you said, dance. There's steps. There's a way to do this. There's and maybe them taking their robes off at the beginning is part of the tradition. Who knows how many of the rules there are surrounding this kind of a fight. But what I like about it is that throughout it, Darth Maul starts to break with the traditional way of fighting. He kind of throws in these little like cheap moves. Like he does. There's a lot of kicking. He kicks Obi-Wan a couple times, and then of course later on he fakes Qui-Gon out and hits him in the jaw with his hilt. So he has these kind of cheap, dirty moves. That's very, very Sith-like at the same. So it's interesting that there is this balance, this dance between them, both. Yeah, but there is sort of he's not following the Queensberry rules of boxing. He's kind of breaking with tradition and kind of cheating and doing some cheap moves that an honorable sword fighter wouldn't do. And actually, Nick Gillard has talked about that on interviews. The stunt coordinator, for those who don't know, who designed this fight and all his lightsaber fights in the prequels, he talked about Darth Maul kind of employs those little cheap moves and tricks here and there, and that's kind of how he wins, by playing dirty.
Yeah, and we definitely will see that later on with Dooku and Palpatine and Vader, right? They're just throwing stuff at the Jedi. Yeah,
and even Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon employ their tricks here and there, like they do that little fake out to Darth Maul, right? Darth Maul then throws back at Qui-Gon and throws back at him and win or defeats Qui-Gon with. But another thing I like, was thinking about them taking their cloaks off, is that because of that, you get this kind of nice visual motif of light versus dark visually. The Jedi are dressed in very, very light colors. It's not pure white, it's kind of cream white. For all intents and purposes, they're clothed in white, and Darth Maul is black. It's very, very clearly good and versus evil there, white versus black. But just not every lightsaber fight is that clear visually of what forces are fighting each other. So I just like the visual nature of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. George has always said that. He was really inspired by the old westerns, where it's like, here's the cowboy in the white hat, and here's the cowboy in the black hat. He knew exactly who was who.
Yeah. And that the good outnumbers the bad at the beginning of this fight, right? It's 2 against 1, but then the odds are even at the end of this. And so like just visually the evil, the darkness is gaining a foothold. It's growing more powerful, which is what the prequels are all about. So I just like that. You see that visually here.
Yeah, it is cool. I also like I don't know how to put this to words. Maybe you can shed some light on this, but I love this scene where Darth Maul knocks Obi-Wan off that ledge, and he just takes this huge fall. I like that because it's, number one, again, this is Nathan. I don't know what George has to say, but it just shows kind of the almost superhuman characteristics of these guys. Like, no one should really survive a fall like that.
Yeah, I know.
But Obi-Wan just like rolls it off, you know?
Yeah.
And then he jumps back up, all the way back up to that top layer in a little bit. But I also like how Qui-Gon, I don't know, again, I don't know if this is intentional, but it seems to spark something in Qui-Gon where he just throws this punch at Maul and just knocks him clean off. And I've always wondered if he's just got a little irritated there. We kind of get this, I don't know, I feel like Qui-Gon has been sort of reserved up to this point. But as soon as Obi-Wan falls, I mean, it's just, even the way he acts it, I mean, it's just full force, just whacking Darth Maul. And I've always loved that punch because he kind of does the elbow and then hits the fist up, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you know anything about that? Is there some, am I just reading into it, or is it just
not particularly about Qui-Gon's reaction there, but the idea of Obi-Wan falling. Lucas is likened this fight to the Empire Strikes Back fight, where it's kind of an inverse of that, where there's this, you know, there's the danger of falling, and we do fall, but we make our way back up, and then, you know, at the end of the day, but at the end of Empire Strikes Back, the Jedi falls. At the end of this movie, the Sith falls, and it's you know, the opposite one gets injured or gets, you know, cut in half or gets their arm cut. In Empire, it was the Jedi. In this version, it's the Sith. And so he's talked about the similar idea there, that he's kind of switching it and playing with that idea of the, again, that pit, the falling, plus but the playing with that vertical space of jumping back up and falling again, and vice versa. But specifically about the Qui-Gon thing, no, I haven't heard him talk about that. But it's interesting, and I kind of forgot that Qui-Gon did that until you just brought it up, and that's a very good point. And it's probably no mistake that it happens right after, you know, Obi-Wan's knocked off. Qui-Gon's, you know, he's like, wait, the Sith is going to fight dirty. I'm going to fight dirty too, you know. That is a very Qui-Gon thing to do, you know. You know, and it's I don't think we've ever seen like a punch or a kick in a lightsaber fight up to this point either. You know, so that was probably a new thing for the audience as well. So I don't know. That's a good point. I'd be interested to see if, I'd be interested to hear what Lucas had to say on that. I don't know if him talking about that, but that's a good call. And I like that read of it. That doesn't seem far fetched. I think you're probably very close, or probably very spot on to what he was intending there.
Yeah, I'm really curious on that. I've always loved that. I remember as a kid playing that often and just pretending to do that with that elbow fist thing. It's so cool. It's a great move. Yeah. And just the sound effect there too makes it just sound painful. You know, it's a big sound effect. It's not one of those just like classic, you know, it's just whack. It's a neat sound effect.
And visually it's just portrayed so well. George does such a good job of that visual space. Like there's that great shot of Qui-Gon and Darth Maul in the top right corner and Obi-Wan at the bottom left-hand corner. Just like the composition there is just really, really cool. Just the huge gulf between the two of them. And I always loved Obi-Wan jumping up there. I thought that was so cool as a kid. Like and as soon as he lands, he hits his lightsaber and back into it. There's so many things about this fight that are cool and unique. Like it's the only lightsaber duel where they don't speak, where the combatants don't talk.
That's a good point.
Again, about that. This idea of like it's too big for dialogue. Like, everything is heightened, right? The chorus is kind of speaking for them, right? Like the music is the voice of this scene. They don't really need to talk. And like Darth Maul, and they're not going to stop for a chat. They're not going to, join me. You know, they're not going to do that kind of thing. This is again. It's sort of ritualistic. It's all about the action. It's all about not like actions and like action movie action, but like the things how they're moving. It's like that's the kind of, they're having a conversation, they're having an argument with weapons instead of words, like I said. I just like everything about this is sort of it's kind of dreamlike, you know, and that's sort of, or nightmare in this case. And that's of course the last time we had a chorus led music sequence in this movie was we were in the dream world of like the Gungan underworld world, right? And so like here it's kind of the same thing, and of course it's much more scary and dangerous. It's a nightmare more than a dream. We're in the underworld, you know, again, but this time it's we're facing instead of a great like sea monster or something. And just also just the fact that, you know, the energy, that plasma energy, that natural energy that's coming from the planet's core is present in both scenes. That's how the Gungans create the bubbles of their city. That's how they get their energy. And it's happening. That same energy is present in this scene too. So it's this great natural power and energy is being channeled in the environment in both of those scenes. And it's just, there's this like literal and kind of metaphorical energy running through both of those kind of dreamlike heightened scenes. So I just, again, George is playing with a lot of subconscious kind of psychological things here just to make this scene just feel very, very, yeah, I've said it a million times, but yeah, heightened. It just feels very operatic, theatrical.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting that I'm just thinking out loud here, but just hearing you say that makes me think like this is really the only battle we get that's not really a family battle, right? I mean, because like in Attack of the Clones, it's not really a family battle, but it kind of is with Yoda and Dooku. You know what I mean? Like Master and Apprentice there.
Yeah.
And then obviously Anakin, Obi-Wan, and then Luke and Vader, pretty much the whole rest of the series after that. But this one just seems like raw Sith versus raw Jedi. Like there's not a connection here. And it just seems so much different, you know? This is like we're just battling for the future versus a battle for family. I don't know. It just seems like no hold bars. And I'm curious to know, I want to know like what Qui-Gon's thinking here, especially as he kneels down, you know, and starts meditating. I wish I had some clue, as maybe you'll tell us as we get to it, but I just really want to know like what is Qui-Gon looking for the outcome here? Because there's no motivation to keep Darth Maul alive, you know? But whereas like every other battle, like you can kind of see like Yoda would want to save Dooku, or Obi-Wan wants to save Anakin, Vader wants to save Luke. You know what I mean? Like there's always that kind of motivation. We don't have that here. It's just like, so I'm curious on like what do Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan sort of think? Because I mean, it's not the Jedi way to attack and to strike down necessarily. So I don't know. Is the goal here to take him prisoner? Like, is the goal here to, especially with a guy like Qui-Gon who doesn't necessarily follow the rules? Like, what's he thinking? Did you have any insight in that? I was looking for some, but I couldn't find any.
Well, their mandate is to protect the Queen, and obviously Darth Maul is an assassin meant to kill the Queen, and so I don't think there's. Their plan is definitely to stop him, whether that means putting him in prison or killing him if it needs to be. That the goal is not to just to kill him just cause. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very, very interesting. That might have to be. I don't have a really good answer for that. I might have to be. I haven't really heard Lucas. I'm sure he's talked a little bit about that, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head. But that's a really interesting question, which seems very obvious, and I'm very kind of upset that I didn't think about this. I'm very. What's the motivation of this thing? What's the motivation of the characters? Just it's like screenwriting and storytelling 101, but I haven't really considered it for the scene.
I'm really curious. I want to know what Qui-Gon's thinking, because Qui-Gon, he's sort of the guy who's like, you could see him killing Darth Maul. You know what I mean? Like Obi-Wan, I think he's led to that point, but Obi-Wan's not going to do it. Like if it was just him and Maul, I'm not sure that's what he would want to do, you know? Whereas, I mean, Qui-Gon, I feel like you could easily see him killing this man. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I really want to know what he's thinking and what.
I kind of two minds about it. I can really see Qui-Gon doing it, but I also can see him not.
Right. And that's the beauty of Qui-Gon, right? Just who he is as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very I don't know.
Yeah.
Tricky. The only thing, the only thing I can say about him, like kneeling down there and meditating, closing his eyes, was that was Liam Neeson's idea, to do that, and so it really shows an actor really knowing his character, right? Because the Qui-Gon, he's closing his eyes in meditation during battle. He's concentrating on the moment. That's his whole thing. He's passive. He's calming down. He's focusing on the moment. And Obi-Wan and Darth Maul are both kind of like impatient, kind of waiting for the doors to open. And Maul's like pacing back and forth, actually this was Nick Gillard's idea, who he directed a lot of this fight scene. And so he told Ray Park didn't really know what to do in this moment, and so Nick Gillard said, well, you know how tigers in the zoo, they kind of stalk back and forth and like a kind of predatory cat, and you should do that. And so that was his idea.
It's just so great.
Yeah, so it's cool. Those two performances both just came out in the middle of shooting. That wasn't something written into the script or thought about earlier. So and they're both really, really great moments, because we end on that Darth Maul stalking back and forth before we cut back to I think it's the Gungans, but or I can't remember exactly. But but that's really interesting, trying to figure out what would happen if Darth Maul loses. What happens? Is he died? Is he I think he gets imprisoned. I don't think they kill him. I think Obi-Wan's driven to that because of the death of Qui-Gon. Like,
right.
Darth Maul's taunting him, the whole thing. And kind of just
Definitely.
self-preservation to a degree. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not the Jedi way. I think they probably take him into custody somehow. Kind of like how Maul is taken into custody at the end of the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka. So that's kind of my guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting question. Good, that's a great insight. I don't know. I'll have to
I'm really curious. I want
do
to
more
know.
research, see if there's anything
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And I've also wondered too. I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily the case here. It may be, but just as George is unfolding the story later, like in the Clone Wars and stuff, I do wonder if we're supposed to take this moment of Qui-Gon meditating, of kind of getting this sense of like he knows what's coming, you know? I don't know, but I've always kind of wondered that. Like, is he preparing himself for the possibility of death here? Like, has he had this sense, but he's just kind of unsure? Is this just, or is it like what you said? He's just like, no, let's just focus on this. I have a minute, I have a breather. I'm gonna be patient, focus on the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I really want to know what George has in mind here. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I might be maybe we're thinking about this too hard. Maybe it's more obvious than that. But yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question though.
I like it a lot. I mean, what an epic um, just portrayal of peace,
Yeah.
and patience. I mean, Qui-Gon just takes a knee and just sits there and meditates. And man, without a single word spoken, you just feel the essence of these characters in like two shots. And Darth Maul
Yeah.
just, yeah, prowling like that. And again, there's that intense stare that was right from the moment those doors opened at the very beginning of this fight. I mean, Qui-Gon just stares at Darth Maul and vice versa. And he meditates for a little bit, but I mean, Darth Maul just staring through his soul. I love it. It's just so
Yeah.
good. Such drama and tension. And um, you just feel the force through both of them, the light and the dark. It's like, wow. So cool. Without a single word. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna keep repeating. Yeah, yeah,
I know,
yeah.
right?
'Cause I got nothing else to say. But
That's
it's
okay.
really cool.
Yeah, I love it. Also, I was going to ask, do you know, is this Darth Maul being intentional? Is he drawing him back here for a reason? Like, is this a strategy of his to cut him off from Obi-Wan? Is this intentional? We're not told anything, but or are we just meant to see this as like Qui-Gon's kind of in control here? We're just seeing his strength because, this
Yeah.
whole time Darth Maul's being backed up, and I don't know if that's like, what are we supposed to get from that? What's the point here?
I don't think he's intentionally doing it because they all seem surprised by the doors. Like you see Darth Maul kind of looking up at the door and
Oh, that's true. Good
he
point.
tests it with his lightsaber. So it seems like they both like no one's actually anticipating this.
That's a good point.
So I don't get the sense. I don't think we're led to assume that Darth is like he's like drawing them into a trap.
Okay.
But he's definitely he's trying to find a way to kill him. He's taking every opportunity he can take, and so I'm sure he's very happy that the door is closed. I'm not sure again because Lucas has talked about you have to figure out the rules of the world to design everything and figure out how everything works, and so I think to some degree he knows why those doors are closing. I've heard it explained like in the resource books and like the making of or the locations books and stuff where those gates are there to kind of be protection for like it's something like the energy, like a unexpected like energy outburst
Mm,
from the core or something. So it's like those gates
mm,
that are kind of protective, like to keep
mm,
anyone
mm,
working there or keep them that dangerous energy or gas or something from escaping. And so I think there's kind of like an unpredictability to when those doors open or close. It just kind of just happens whenever they're needed. I don't know if it's like a
mm,
I don't think it's like it's on a clock or anything. So that why did I bring that up? I think just I don't know exactly if Lucas is using that idea exactly, or I think like I said, I think he knows the logic of that scene of that location, why it works, why everything's there,
mm,
what the machinery does, and what each room is for. But I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm not sure at all what he uh, if he's using that to say, oh, Darth Maul is using that as a trap, or Sidious has planned it so they have the fight there, or I don't know. I don't
mm.
know anything about that. I don't think they. It seems like they're caught off guard by. the Jedi showing up there, because they thought the battle was going to be with the Gungans and all that. So
good
I don't know.
point. Okay, I'm trying to look in the book and see if there's anything here, but it doesn't sound like it. Nuts. I really want to know. I want to know this stuff. That's okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. That he seems kind of caught off guard by this too. So I'm curious to know if that's maybe. I mean, George may just thought, "Hey, this is cool. Let's just put it back there because this is what needs to happen." But he may. I'm just curious if we're supposed to get more out of that or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky because, like, just because it's a story, we know that everything's kind of leading up to one of these people. One side, someone's going to win. Someone's going to fall. That's the point of fighting on the side of a precipice, right? Like, someone's going to fall. Someone's going to die. Whether or not that's the intent, like the characters know that or planning that, that's just the nature of how a story goes. It's like we talked about the music, the locations, the lack of dialogue, everything's kind of building this idea that there's huge consequences to what's going to be happening.
Yes.
And so it's all building towards a death of either, well, those the two deaths, I guess. Well, actually, no, a retcon death and one actual death.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what Lucas was thinking the characters were. It's a great question. Of course, like I said, it's a very obvious question that I totally missed. I totally did not think about the character's motivation in the scene, which is, how could I not? That's so dumb of me. But I'm really glad you brought it up, because
you're good.
I'm going to be looking for that in all my notes of what Lucas has said, all the quotes from interviews and stuff. I'll be looking for that, any kind of hint to what that might be, because I've never looked for that before. So
that's okay.
See if we have any answers in the future that we can come back and talk about it with. But I got nothing for you right now, dude. Sorry.
No worries. This just shows you how intensely I overthink things.
No, I said that's not overthinking. That's basic stuff, and that shows you how much I underthink things.
There you go. But I just think it's cool too. I'm kind of uncultured, but I've never seen anything like this where it's just this dramatic pause in the middle of a fight like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a tension giver. Or it's like no one gets injured or anything. It's just, we're just going to pause. We're trapped for a minute, staring face to face with our enemy. It's just, wow. Talk about adding to the tension. And then we're going to get kind of a pause on every front here in a minute. But this one's not necessarily like Darth Maul just won. I mean, we'll get to that. But this is just this really cool, epic pause. I just really like it. Yeah.
It gives a nice variety, right? Where it gives the audience a breather. You can't just be intense scene after intense scene after tension after tension. Like, each scene just keeps building and building. You need to have some sort of shape, otherwise it's just going to get repetitive. So I think, there's definitely a little bit of that for sure.
And then from excuse me, that sets the stage to pretty much the lost part of this portion. Everyone's going to start losing. Is the very next scene we get to is the shield generator being blown up with the Gungans. Excuse me, and then we just start losing. The Queen's going to get captured, Anakin gets stuck, and it looks like it's over. But so that's the next scene here is Jar Jar. They're all running away, and he looks courageous, but he's just running away from the big boomers.
Yeah, great scene.
My kids laughed so hard during the scene. It's just great.
Yeah, especially as a kid too.
Yeah, I really did. And what a contrast to the last few minutes we've been watching with this intense lightsaber fight, which is good. It lightens the mood a little bit. It's nice. We also see a little bit of Jar Jar's clumsy yet brave heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Even though he's got some fear for sure. I'm not discounting that.
Yeah, one quick thing I noticed recently was it's kind of a random little trivia, little editing thing. But when that shield generator blows up, you see a Gungan dive off. The Gungan perch between the two drums of that thing on the Famba's back. And he jumps off, and the next shot's a wide of that thing exploding, and the Gungan just disappears. He should be like flying through the air, but he just just blipped out of existence. There's a little continuity thing. I just noticed, oh, it's kind of fun to
Had to
notice.
save some money there.
It's fine. It's just certain things, I like those little imperfections you see in movies, like, oh, they forgot it, because it reminds you that it's made by humans. It's not this perfect thing. This is another one of those comedy scenes that are lifted directly from an old classic movie. So there's a Buster Keaton film where he's running down. It actually happens to him twice. He did it twice, but different. But he's running down a hill. That barrels are like spilling out of like a truck, I think. So it's the exact same, like almost the same shot of him running away, barrels out getting crushed. What's wild is that they did that for real. Another version, he's running down a hill with these huge boulders falling after him. It's like, how did you not? I mean, I think the boulders were like fiberglass, so they weren't actually big rocks. It wasn't gonna like crush him if he got hit, but it was still gonna hurt. And so it's amazing. Like, how many times did you film this? How did you not get hit? Because he's just running. Boulders don't follow a script; they don't know which way to go, and so he could have gotten hurt. So it's amazing they can do that back then. Obviously, this is all CG, but it's still the same spirit is there, and so it's another classic. Jar Jar is that kind of silent film comedian. He's that cartoon. He's that jester for this movie that gets into all the silliness. But again, it's very helpful. Those Boomas actually, take care of the tanks that are heading their way. They destroy them. They take out battle droids. Again, unintentionally, his stupidity is very helpful. He fumbles his way to victory again, and so sometimes it pays to have an idiot on your team. Like they can accidentally fall into something very, very helpful. He's Jar Jar. He's just one big, Bob Ross happy accident.
That's right. I like it, man. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Three Stooges influence here. I mean, George has talked about how he loved Three Stooges and the three pit droids.
We missed that. The pit droids. Yeah.
The pit droids in the pod race are supposed to be an homage to the Three Stooges. And then there's a Three Stooges. My dad loved Three Stooges. We grew up on it. So there is a scene very much like that. There's an episode where they're running down a hill and a truck full of barrels spills, and they're all running down the hill.
Really? From barrels. The same thing. Interesting.
So I wonder if that played a part too. It's pretty classic. Just run away from the accident. Yeah,
I never watched Three Stooges growing up. I've seen like a couple clips here and there. I need to watch more of them.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
you have to watch it with my dad. That's the best way to watch it. He cracks up.
Really? All right,
that's good stuff. I also want to comment on the bombs, or I don't know if bombs, missiles, whatever you want to call them, torpedoes from the tanks that just kind of skim the surface of the grass and like cause that fire. Really cool. I always thought that was really neat. You can just see it kind of launch from that bottom tube there, and it's just this wall of fire almost coming straight at him and blows up Jar Jar's ride there. But it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Nice touch,
Totally.
Every guy likes a good explosion. And so it was neat.
Yeah, most of those explosions were practically shot too. They weren't as before you could do a CG simulation of explosions. So that was all the ILM guys on the roof or in the parking lot, setting stuff off, setting explosions off, and
having fun,
models and stuff, and trying different things. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, we've talked about it before, but so much of this movie is practical. Everyone kind of criticized some of the prequels for this, but I was looking in the archive book this morning, and they made a full Naboo ship for Anakin to sit in, and they made a full size tank to sit in the middle of the plaza. It's right there. It's pretty cool. So just a nice touch.
Yeah, so much of the obvious stuff, like Jar Jar is obviously a visual effect. He's very much in your face and in the foreground of things, but so much of the world, so much of the environment, all the stuff in the background, which is really the majority of this movie, the majority of what you see is, quote unquote real. I mean, it's still stitched together in different ways, whether it's a model or a matte painting or a practical explosion or whatever it is. But so much of it is real, and it's just the flashy stuff tends to be more CG. That's what people focus on, but the majority of it, I think, is practical. Yeah, especially in this film. As CGI gets better throughout the prequels, then they rely on it a little bit more, and they get better at it. But this movie, for sure, there's a ton of great, fantastic practical stuff happening.
Yeah, it's really cool. So just for all those who have heard all the criticism, not all CGI.
One more thing, this is where he hangs on the barrel of the tank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, again, I think is the last one. It's kind of been like three kind of classic silent comedy gags in a row. This is the third one. This isn't Buster Keaton, this is Harold Lloyd. So he's kind of the lesser known. It's like there's Chaplin, there's Buster Keaton, and then there's Harold Lloyd. And this is from a movie called Girl Shy, and he's trying to get to a wedding on time, and so he ends up like going through these different, like jumping from cars to like horse and buggy, and all of a sudden he's on a trolley car, and so they have that kind of arm on top of the car that along the wire that swings out, and he's hanging from it, just like Jar Jar is here. And he lands and falls onto a car, just like Jar Jar kind of lands onto
the nice
Captain Tarbles. Of course, he doesn't land on they fall onto the ground, but like that was another shout out to the silent comedians. So just again, if you watched Phantom Menace and you had seen those movies, if you're watching this, you're a film buff, and that would inform Jar Jar's character for you. You know what he's going for. It's again a sign that George is clearly saying that Jar Jar is a comedian. He's a jester, like you said, and he's not like George doesn't think this is cool. He doesn't think this is like a serious. Again, it's not a serious battle. Jar Jar's trying. He's supposed to be in these kind of comedic situations, and supposed to be silly. And people were very, very down on Jar Jar's comedy and his whole character. But of course, everyone's very, very praiseworthy of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd. They're revered in the annals of film history and comedy history. So just funny, like you dress them up as a weird frog, lizard thing, and people hate it. But I guess context is everything. But it's the same thing. It's literally the same gags. Like Lucas is not even being shy about it. He's lifting it almost directly. I think it's more fans who are again, took Star Wars very seriously. It was very close to them, and then this seemed like a betrayal. But I think anyone coming to it from the outside would notice these things and say would look at them the same way they would if they saw the Chaplin or the Keaton gags and say, "Oh, this is great comedy. This is just a fun, cool gag," and they wouldn't be as critical of it. So just again, the reason I bring these up is just kind of again trying to shake people out of the fan brain that they have and say, okay, if we do this objectively, this is what they're doing. It's a very old gag, very classic comedy stuff. Maybe it's not the funniest thing in the world. Maybe it's not your type of humor, but it's not this abomination. Objectively, maybe feel that way about it if you love Star Wars, but they're not doing something completely outlandish. It's not crazy that they're doing this. This is something some like masters of comedy did in years previous. It has a precedent. Is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, nice homage. So it's probably interesting too. I was just thinking about why you're saying that. At least for me, I never grew up with those, so that was all like that's new stuff to me to hear. So I would think, I don't know, maybe a lot of Star Wars fans grew up with not knowing those names. Maybe I have no idea. So it could just been total surprise to them. But I can see where it's like, again, context is everything. So just trying to think about his context and his influences and what he's trying to do there makes a lot different than just like George is a bad storyteller. You know what I mean? Totally different.
Like in a vacuum, Star Wars can look very different than it does if you look at all the influences. That's kind of what we're trying to do here is expand our perspective. And I guess for those who don't know, Harold Lloyd. Did you ever you've seen the image of the guy hanging from the clock off the side of the building? That's him. That's Harold Lloyd.
Gotcha.
It's a fantastic film called Safety Last, where the guy just climbs a building and hangs from a clock, and it's like it's a really cool stunt. It's like kind of crazy feat, but also a very, very fun movie. Anyway, so that's cool. So people said since Harold Lloyd is a little bit less known, that image is more well known than his name is. So just for people, just for context, that's the guy I'm talking about. And anyway, but
nice touch.
Oh yeah, and so here we can talk about. So sorry. Yes, we can go to the next scene. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good
at that point, but I love to belabor points. That's like my favorite. So Jar Jar at the end of the scene is surrounded by battle droids, and so we cut back to Padme, she and her soldiers, the Queen and their soldiers, there surrounded by droids. This time it's 4 droidicas. Last time we saw them there were 3, now there's 4 droidicas, and there's no Jedi, no Anakin to help them, so they really don't. Sorry, I'm very burpy today. I just had a pizza for lunch. I guess that's probably to blame. But nice. But yeah, so don't have Anakin or the Jedi to help them, so they really don't stand a chance. They struggled with 3 droidicas before. There's 4 of them now, so they're at they're captured. They're like you said, they're kind of on a losing streak. It's a low point for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all completely surrounded. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and here we start seeing everybody get trapped. Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about them all being surrounded by droids. Because Anakin's about to, yeah, right
Yep.
here.
And Anakin's next one to get surrounded by droids. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he gets shot. Does a cool spiral barrel roll into the hangar there. Yeah, I always loved the scene as a kid. It's just we've never seen something like that before, where fly into a ship like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool. Well, I guess we did. Yeah, we did. I mean, that's the Death Star,
The
right?
Death Star, yeah.
But that one was like intentional.
That is an accident.
This one's just like flying around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one's like we're just gonna fly into the halls of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
not just.
I love the droids kind of looking at, like, as it flies by, sort of like the almost call them Ewoks. I've done this a million times. It's not Ewoks. They are Jawas during the pod race. When they they say Utini as they fly by, and the droids kind of will fly by, look at it, which is I know, yeah, that shot shows up in a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. It's like Grand Prix or something. It's a racing movie that Lucas referenced a lot in the pod race.
Oh yeah.
But there's a shot of them, like a spectator, that kind of classic shot of spectator, like turning their heads as the vehicles go by. That's just Lucas has said he loves speed, he loves the moving vehicle a lot. So it's just when I see that shot, it just makes me think of it's very Lucas, a very Lucas shot.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is a cool shot.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Ends up surrounded by the droids.
All right, man. Then I probably have time for this last scene here.
Yeah, see if we can wrap up this at least the lightsaber battle. So yeah, the other three storylines is failed. So we now know something. So now we know that this one's set up for failure too. If something bad's going to happen, we kind of feel that now as an audience, and you can see the way it's shot. So before that happens, though, Obi-Wan. I love that Obi-Wan kind of sees it before it happens, right? You can see things that when you talk to Shmi about Anakin can see things before they happen. We know that's a marker of the Force. But I guess I forgot to talk about it, but we learned that Force jumping was a thing in the last scene. We never seen them do that before. But this is a method of the Force we've already seen and become familiar with in the movie, of him kind of predicting the future. He knows they're about to open, and everyone gets ready. And yeah, so I just love that little moment there. But as getting back to what I was talking about earlier, how you can kind of feel the dread of what's about to happen. Just cutting from coming back to Obi-Wan's reaction after he gets caught, and just Qui-Gon, Darth Maul, back to Obi-Wan, back to Qui-Gon, just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Something's about to happen, then boom, it happens, and it's such a great way to build anticipation of what's about to come.
Oh so, man, yeah, so well done, and not to mention the music again, man. I mean, like just the quiet whispering of the vocals, and it's just the music is almost cut, but not quite. It's just that little bit of eerie, and oh man, something's coming down. It's not going to be good. Yeah, and I love the shots to Obi-Wan. He sees it, and his gasping, where he just kind of takes those sharp breaths of like, I know, oh, this isn't good, and just his face when he gets locked in again, like he's really frustrated. Yeah. So, oh man. And then, the hit to the face. And the stab.
And it's interesting. It's a good. You reminded me of this when you brought up the music. Is that, the Duel of Fates is done now. It's no longer this operatic. It feels now we're in this closed, confined space, very quiet. The music's kind of dropped out, except for those voices and that kind of whispering. But I think it's still the Sanskrit words. Is that is the motif we've been hearing every time you see Darth Maul. That's like Darth Maul's theme, basically. And so now, his theme starts playing. It's like, oh yeah, he's about to dominate the scene. He's going to be to the top in this moment. And he does. So it's a bit of it sets the stage for what's about to happen. The fake out, and then he hits him in the jaw, or hits him with the hilt. And that great no, Obi-Wan screaming no. A lot of characters scream no in Star Wars. Does it happen every single film? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. But this is our first one of a.
Oh, and he delivers that line so well. I mean, just the acting Ewan does there, so good. Yeah, so good. And I really appreciate. Gosh, I mean, just the Sithiness of Maul. You know, like he doesn't even bother to watch his enemy fall. He knows he's killed him. He just turns around and stares at Obi-Wan like, "You're next, little
You're
one."
next.
You know,
Yes. Yep.
and
Yep.
it's
Yep.
just
Yep.
like,
Yep.
oh my goodness, like he doesn't even watch. Yeah, he doesn't care to watch Qui-Gon fall down. It's just like, oh man.
Yeah, that's a great
He's got
choice.
the smirk on his face, like, oh, you're such an evil dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. And
Yeah.
it's
It's
interesting.
crazy.
I just can't help but think of Obi-Wan and Luke in the Death Star, where Vader cuts down Obi-Wan,
Yep.
and Luke says the same thing.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just, yeah, like you said, that happens a lot
Yeah.
in Star Wars. Yeah, every one of them, but maybe episode 2.
Yeah. I'm thinking. Yeah. I think this episode. I don't think it happens. Episode. Mm, yeah. I think. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe Empire 2. I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Hmm.
find out.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's yeah. Again, Maul uses the tricks to win. Uses bad form,
Hmm. Hmm.
tricks,
Hmm.
playing dirty, and yeah, I just think
Hmm.
a good call of him just like not even watching as Qui-Gon falls, and yeah, just
Oh
the year
man.
part of it so intimidating.
Oh, and
So
then to see the blade completely sticking out of his back, it's just like, oof,
yeah,
as he just rips out, like, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, that's pretty violent.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
yeah. Okay, so there's a few things we have to talk about here, man.
All
All right,
right, go
number
for it.
number one, um, I don't know if we have necessarily as much to say on this other than just how Disney has completely disregarded the seriousness of the stab, right?
Oh, you mean
So many people get stabbed in Disney Star Wars and live.
oh yeah,
And they make so much fun of that. The Star Wars fans do because of what, Qui-Gon died and how Disney just is like, oh yeah, you can get stabbed, you're fine. It's like good
yeah, it's
night.
true.
Yeah. It's not cool. But anyway, I had to throw it in there because
No,
everyone
you're
knows
good.
about
It's fine.
it. Yeah. I've seen guys like you can go YouTube this. You can see like scientists and doctors and stuff will tell you why you can't survive a lightsaber stab.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because because I didn't notice this for the longest time when I was a kid, but that it because the wound cauterizes itself, right? That's why they don't bleed out when except for that one guy gets his arm cut off in episode 4. That was a mistake,
Mhm.
but which is convenient for a PG rating or PG-13 rating also.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so I guess I was wondering. I always well, so I guess do you remember what they say? Because I always kind of wondered that myself. I'm like, I feel like depending on where you get stabbed, I guess you get stabbed. I don't know enough about that to know how quickly one would die or if that would kill you or if you could survive that. I don't know. But do you
Yeah, I
remember
don't
what they
know.
would say?
I know there are guys out there who've done it, and it's like I think with Qui-Gon in particular, he holds it there for so long, that it just the intensity of the heat would just fry you. It would just
So
kill everything. Whereas like
I think
with
it's
Darth Maul, it gets cut in half. It's just a quick, or
mm,
like Luke's arm is just so quick. Um, Whereas like Darth Maul just kind of holds it in his gut. But I don't know. You can. I'm not sure. You have to watch the YouTube videos.
okay.
But
Yeah,
I know the
interesting.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's fun looking at the original trilogy and how they couldn't really stab things, or they couldn't really the lightsaber couldn't really or good when I think of when Luke's fighting on Jabba's sail barge. He basically just got a baseball bat, like he's just
Mhm.
fighting
Mhm.
people, and they just kind of like they fall, and they don't have they don't get cut in half, they don't lose limbs, it's kind of just
Mhm.
they kind of just fall backward, and
Mhm.
because it's been very hard to you have to use like actual like amputee and like put a fake arm on them, have it fall off and stuff like that. But in the prequels here, we get a lot of obviously we get a limb cutting off like Empire Strikes Back and all that stuff,
Right.
but um, but there's a lot more stabbiness or lightsabers like moving through things or slicing through things like butter.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
interesting noticing in Obi-Wan and in Kenobi, like the Kenobi series and other versions of Star Wars where I've kind of seen them uh, or the Disney stuff where they sort of are kind of going back to the old original trilogy thing where the lightsaber kind of bounces off things. Like when Luke's
Mhm.
fighting Vader in Return of the Jedi, they're on that
Mhm.
railing. Like
Mhm.
his lightsaber bounces off the railing. It doesn't
Mhm.
slice through it entirely. It takes a couple swings, and it's interesting. Like the Lucas definitely changed his view of what a lightsaber was because he
Mhm.
told his actors originally that lightsabers were very heavy.
Yeah. Yep.
And later on, he kind of changes it. They're much more light, and maybe they couldn't cut through things as quickly or as easily. And I don't know this for sure, but it seems like originally they weren't as, or at least they couldn't. Maybe they're just restricted like they couldn't portray it as being as hot or as they couldn't slice through things as easily because it's hard to do. But now that with digital technology, they could do it better. I don't know. It's just interesting how the lightsabers kind of changed over the years. As now it seems to be portrayed more in the original trilogy style, and it is in prequels. It's just interesting because it's like when you think of lightsaber, it seems pretty self-explanatory. But you're right. Like there's some people survive stab wounds, I guess, now in Disney Star Wars. But sometimes the lightsaber just bounces off, and sometimes it goes all the way through. It's if you look for it, there's a lot of like questions like, wait, how does this?
Yeah.
What do we say? What are we saying about this weapon?
We can only take it so seriously.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because obviously it's a fictional thing. There's not a logic to. You apply too much logic to Star Wars, it falls apart. Any story, it falls apart. So it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to have a good time. But
exactly.
I think we should do a podcast just talking about lightsaber sometime. And even though I don't, I thought you and I both kind of talked about this podcast being more about storytelling and not talking too much like what's the history of this particular model of the X-wing in the universe thing. I don't really necessarily talk about the in-universe stuff of lightsaber, but just it's a very, very symbolic, very, very important thing because the idea of the Jedi losing their lightsabers throughout.
Right.
There's a lot of George uses it for storytelling, and I feel like I don't quite understand it fully. So I think it would be cool to explore that more. But I'm wasting time. You finish the scene.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is that culmination of, I guess, what I'll say. The scene is that culmination of that storyline we've started at the beginning that I've talked about a million times. I'm sure people are tired of me talking about it, but the idea that the Jedi are not superheroes. In that quote I read from Lucas earlier, the God can bleed, so it's a false God. It's not worth. It isn't actually a God. The Jedi aren't all powerful. And so from this point on, the Jedi are vulnerable, and they know it, and the audience knows it. Anakin, like, no one can kill a Jedi, but now we're like, oh, never mind, you can definitely kill a Jedi. So the dark side is now very, very present and very, very dangerous for the rest of the movies.
Absolutely. Yes. And one of the questions I want to ask, and I think we'll save it for next time because it's gonna come out more next time, but just to be thinking about it, is how come Qui-Gon died and Obi-Wan didn't? And I want to know why that is the case. So is it just because of Obi-Wan is just a better Jedi, or Qui-Gon knew? I have a lot of speculation, but I will save one of my questions for next time because it really plays out next time. Not so much this time, but I might give you some time to research it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's right.
So I can come back. I can come on next time and be like, "Oh, I actually knew this already." But
that's right. I was anticipating your question.
One thing I will say about that is Obi-Wan originally was Obi-Wan that died and Qui-Gon survived. So I told you about that. Originally, their names were swapped.
Oh yes.
So technically, it originally was that way, and then he took on his master's name and became Obi-Wan, even though he was Qui-Gon for most of the
movie. I didn't know that part of it, where he took on the name.
Yeah, so that's part of him taking on his master's mantle. His mission was also taking on his name. So it would be Padawan Qui-Gon and Master Obi-Wan. When Obi-Wan dies, Padawan Qui-Gon is like, in memory of my master, and I'm going to become. It's like that guru idea, like where you become your teacher. You want to become them eventually. You're not just learning from them and leaving. You want to embody them. And so and that's sort of was kind of playing into that line he said in episode 4. Like, I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan since before you were born.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I did not know that part. There you go. Because I knew that he had talked about George had played with the idea of like only one. There wasn't Padawan and apprentice. It was just one Jedi, and it's just Obi-Wan and things like that. But okay, interesting. That's cool. That would have been a big game changer. I don't know how I would have felt about that.
Yeah,
I like Obi-Wan just being Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's weird to think about now. But
that's really weird.
So not really, so technically it originally wasn't. But that isn't a good question. It's like why is it not Qui-Gon who continues?
Whoa, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah. Well, that scene ends with Darth Maul doing the exact same thing he did to Qui-Gon a few minutes ago. Just pacing, staring through his soul. And now we see some emotion on Obi-Wan. He's angry.
Yeah. Yes.
He is angry. He's frowning and snarling, and that will be interesting. I want to learn more about that as we get into that next time. But I will hold my tongue and wait.
No, it's a great spot to end because all 4 storylines have hit their darkest moments, right? So you maintain the tension by intercutting them right now. So they're all kind of at the same low point. So we'll explore that more next time, and we'll start to see how they each kind of climb out of that hole that you put in. Actually, Obi-Wan has far yet to fall.
Literally. Right?
But yeah, no, it's a good spot to call it, and we'll move on from there.
All right, that's it for this episode. Join us in the next one as we continue our series on the Phantom Menace. As always, thanks for listening, and on to the next one.